Why do we need a primary? I assume you're in favor of a
The
primary.
presidential primary.
Presidential
Yeah.
primary, yes.
I would say this.
You are in favor.
Yes, I am. I'm a big fan of the caucus system. I think it helps outsiders. It helps people without great financial means. It's a great community and party building exercise for every other office. But I think when it comes to open seat presidential election contests, as we saw this year and as we saw in 2008, the enthusiasm has been overcome by capacity issues, I would say. A more simple way to put that is the system maybe just can't handle all of that turnout.
The primary cost would be borne by the state or shared by the state
Well,
or county, because right now the caucuses are essentially paid for by the party, aren't
Right,
they? Parties?
right. We're in the process right now of crunching the numbers in our office in terms of the overall state cost. Not cost to the state government, but cost to the counties and others who administer elections. And we think it's probably going to end up being somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 to $6 million. Now,
That's statewide.
that's statewide, and that's dispersed around the state in polling places all over the place. But we think it's fair that the state reimburse counties for that cost, because if we have this presidential primary system, again, it's only for the presidency, not for any other office or any other purpose. But if we have that, we're asking counties and the local folks to run an election that basically they've never had to run before, or very seldom in the last half century or so. It's in the winter, they got to recruit and train and pay a bunch of election judges to the tune of many thousands, and it's only right that we reimburse them for those costs.
Okay, and this would be at the same time as the caucuses, or would the state set the date?
Roughly. I think what would happen, and what the two major party chairs seem to want, is that within a week, either before or after of the primary, the caucuses would still be held. So for every other purpose, governor, U.S. senator, platform issues, resolutions, all the rest, legislative candidates, you'd still maintain the caucus system. I think that's important. I would really want to see that. But for just presidential candidate selection every 4 years, you'd go to a primary. You know, fortunately, I think since 2012, and since the defeat of the photo ID measure, we've come back in Minnesota to where we traditionally have been, which is more or less trying to find, and very often finding, consensus on these elections issues. I'm not saying it's always been that way in every instance, but I think that was sort of the high watermark of the real clashes over these issues, at least for now. So the bottom line is, I am not seeing anything on the horizon this session that seems particularly troubling to me in terms of potential suppression. I'm really not, which is a good thing. I think we're more or less agreeing.